All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. We spend a huge chunk of our lives just grinding, working late, trying to climb that corporate ladder. But how often do we actually stop, take a breath, and question what our ceiling really looks like? Today, we're unpacking a wild account from a dedicated IT engineer who had a massive, completely unexpected shift in how they viewed their entire career trajectory. And it was all triggered by one single number. It's a story about realizing that the top of the mountain you're currently climbing, it might actually just be base camp for a much, much bigger peak.
So how far can you push your market value? We're going to explore this exact question by breaking down this engineer's profound mindset shift. Because let's be real, it's so easy to get totally bogged down in the day-to-day. Stressing over the next sprint, the upcoming performance review, or maybe just scraping by for that tiny incremental raise. But the source material we're looking at today forces us to completely zoom out. It challenges us to stop defining our worth by our current job title or some rigid company hierarchy. Instead, we have to ask, what is my true market value? And, crucially, what's actually stopping me from doubling or even tripling that value while I'm still young?
To really grasp the scale of this epiphany, we need to look at where this narrator started out. They were at a pretty comfortable baseline, making around 7 million yen a year. Now, just to put that into perspective, this wasn't some entry-level junior coder, not at all. We're talking about an established, solid engineer at a major Japanese system integrator, literally leading the development of pretty complex financial systems. So at this stage in the game, 7 million yen, that was a number to be genuinely proud of. They felt confident. They honestly thought they were crushing it in the IT industry, just comfortably cruising on this trajectory of success.
And right around this time, their absolute holy grail was becoming the legendary full-stack engineer. You know the type, the highly respected master of servers, networks, and applications who just intuitively sees the big picture. Our narrator, like so many driven engineers, really idolized the folks who quietly and steadily built out these massive systems behind the scenes. I mean, they were spending exhausting hours cramming for those grueling all-day IPA IT certification exams over in Japan. Picture this, sitting in these massive, silent halls with dozens of other engineers, all sharing this intense, relentless dedication. The dream was to be the person, the one who perfectly understands the entire stack, knows how the whole project fits together, and makes it all run flawlessly. That was the absolute gold standard, the peak.
But then, everything changed. The real turning point hit during a very specific, high-stakes assignment. Our narrator got pulled into this project to introduce a complex system, originally built in London, over to Japan. And this was not your standard run-of-the-mill domestic rollout. The whole system was being actively driven and managed by this duo of engineers, one British, one Japanese. And right out of the gate, the British engineer was just incredible. Whenever the tech came up, he effortlessly grasped the underlying architecture. Just boom, he had it. He was brilliant.
Now, this perfectly highlights the narrator's initial mindset, which they later realized was a total foreign bias. Watching this British engineer, the narrator naturally thought, well, foreign engineers are just inherently stronger at systems. That's just how it is. That was the expectation. But man, the reality completely shattered that bias. The narrator suddenly zeroed in on the Japanese engineer working right alongside the British expert. And this guy, he wasn't just some translator or a glorified assistant, no way. He was standing toe-to-toe as an absolute technical equal. He was actively driving the project, holding his own in every single complex architectural debate.
The narrator was just floored. They were literally thinking, wait a minute, who is this Japanese guy talking to this British expert like it's absolutely nothing? Okay, really quick, before we reveal the shocking truth about this mystery engineer, and trust me, what he was earning is mind-blowing, if you are finding this explainer valuable, please take a quick second to hit that subscribe and like button below. It really truly helps us keep bringing these deep dive analyses directly to you. Alright, so, back to our mystery guy. Who was he? Well, he was actually the only locally hired person in Japan who could operate with total absolute comfort in both English and Japanese. But as the narrator was about to find out, his skills went way beyond just speaking two languages.
And then, bam, the financial revelation dropped. This engineer was pulling in over 10 million yen. One day, the topic of salary just casually came up in conversation. And when this guy casually dropped the 10 million yen figure, the narrator was utterly stunned. Just frozen. Remember, our narrator was super proud of their 7 million yen salary. In the Japanese IT world, especially at these big system integrators, going north of 10 million yen is a tier strictly reserved for department managers or upper-level execs. It is not for engineers actively working down in the trenches on the ground floor. The math was literally not computing in the narrator's head.
You know, our immediate instinct when we hear someone makes drastically more money than us is to just assume, oh, they must work way harder or pull crazy hours. And yeah, sure, this 10 million yen engineer was highly capable, everyone relied on him, and he was always busy. But here's the catch. The narrator was already grinding through late nights and early mornings themselves. They were putting in those extreme, sleep-deprived hours day after day, which proved a vital, almost terrifying point. Simply working harder or rocking up more face time at the desk was not the secret to this massive salary gap. There was something fundamentally, structurally different about the actual kind of value this engineer was bringing to the table. Seeing this huge discrepancy in compensation and capability forced a really deep, honestly kind of uncomfortable self-reflection for our narrator. They had to ask themselves, if I just keep working my tail off at my current job, doing exactly what I'm doing right now, can I actually break through that 10 million yen ceiling while I'm still relatively young? And this changed everything. It shifted the focus from just vaguely wishing for a higher salary to critically questioning how to truly maximize their market value. They realized, with absolute clarity, that the path they were currently on, even if they executed it perfectly, had a hard, immovable cap.
So, what was the secret sauce of the 10 million yen engineer? It was how he seamlessly combined 3 distinct slices into one incredibly rare, ultra-valuable skill set. Look, he didn't just understand the systems, he understood the business side. He actively handled the coordination, and he could actually get his hands dirty and implement the system himself. Plus, he could argue the deepest technical details in English and then turn around and seamlessly explain the business strategy in Japanese. Systems, business, language. He connected all 3. He was the literal human bridge that made this entire massive international project even possible.
So here is the absolute crucial takeaway. True market value demands stepping completely beyond purely technical boundaries, becoming a full-stack engineer, mastering your servers, your networks, your applications. Look, that is already incredibly difficult. But this explainer proves that to reach that absolute elite tier of compensation and indispensability, you have to integrate business acumen and bilingual communication into your technical foundation. For the very first time, the narrator had seen someone who had gone beyond full stack, living and breathing right in front of them, blending implementation, strategy, and global communication into one completely unstoppable profile.
The day the narrator heard that 10 million yen figure, yeah, they were captivated. But as they really digested it, they realized the most motivating factor wasn't actually the money. The real spark? It was the inspiring realization that a local Japanese engineer could actually achieve this elite global standard. It completely shattered their self-imposed ceiling. It proved that you don't have to be some foreign expat to dominate complex international system integrations. That simple, powerful fact, I can get this far too. It rewired something deep inside the narrator's mindset forever.
From that moment on, the narrator began thinking so much bigger about what was actually possible for their career. They finally realized their market value wasn't dictated by their company's standard HR pay scale, but by the unique, multifaceted value they could bring to the global market. They decided right then and there, I can do it. I'll take the first step tomorrow. They committed to expanding their skills far beyond just the technical stack. And honestly, that leaves us with an incredibly powerful final thought to wrap up this explainer. Take a hard look at your own career. Look at your own current full stack, whatever that means for your specific industry. What is the business or communication layer you need to add to shatter your own ceiling? The narrator took their first step tomorrow. So are you going to stay at base camp, or are you ready to start climbing?